Okay, get ready for this. We're about to dive into how a tiny, almost unnoticeable grammar rule might actually change how we understand history. Yeah, you heard that right.
So, think about it. What if the difference between two of the most basic words in English isn't just for a pop quiz? What if it's actually about two completely different ways of seeing the world? And maybe, just maybe, it holds the key to a part of our history that's been hidden in plain sight.
All right, let's start with the basics. The whole each versus everything, it's tricky, you know? It trips up pretty much everyone, even native speakers, because they look and feel almost exactly the same.
Take a look at these two sentences. Each boy grows up to be a man, and every boy grows up to be a man. Now, the meaning is basically the same. We get it. But they just feel different, don't they? When you say each boy, you kind of picture them one by one as individuals. But every boy, that makes you think of the whole group, all at once. That little shift, that's the whole game. So this is what's so cool about this breakdown. It turns that feeling into actual rules. See, each puts a spotlight on the individual members of a group, one by one, and it works for groups as small as two. You can say you have a ring on each hand. But every, that's about the whole collective, and you need at least three for it to work. I mean, you'd never say you have an earring in every ear, right? It just sounds wrong. And this is where it gets really important. This is not just about grammar anymore. We're talking about two completely different lenses for viewing the world around us. This quote here, it just nails it. This isn't a new idea. There's always been this tension between a holistic view, that's seeing the big picture, the whole group, and a distributive view, which is all about seeing the individual parts that make up the whole. One word focuses on the forest, the other makes you look at each tree. So this is the world of each. It's like you have a single spotlight and you have to shine it on one person, then the next person, then the one after that. It forces you to acknowledge that every single piece of the puzzle is unique and important on its own. And then you've got the world of every and all. This is about the collective. Think about a boss saying, every single report needs to be on my desk by 5. The focus isn't on your individual effort. It's about getting 100% completion from the entire team. It's about the group's action as a whole. So, okay, how does a grammar lesson actually show up in real life? Well, let's apply this lens to a huge historical example, a story that's really a tale of two completely different records. So, in the Western Bible, the one most of us are familiar with, we get this line. It's a classic holistic statement. It tells us, yeah, Adam had daughters, plural, but they're just a group, an unnamed, undefined category. They are the every, not the each. But what if I told you that's not the only record? In the Ethiopian biblical canon, they take a totally different approach, a distributive approach. It doesn't just say daughters, it gives us each one, by name. We have Avon, the mother of civilization, and Azora, the mother of righteousness. Suddenly, they're not a faceless group anymore. They're individuals with massive roles in the story of humanity. Now, where do these names come from? An ancient text called the Book of Jubilees. And here's the kicker. While it was set aside in the West for centuries, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has considered it sacred scripture the entire time, preserving this incredibly detailed individual account. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Was this just a simple mistake? Did the names just get lost to time? Or was leaving them out a deliberate choice? A choice that shows a preference for a more streamlined collective story over a detailed individual one. You have to remember, the Bible as we know it didn't just fall out of the sky. Its contents were debated, curated, and decided upon by powerful institutions. A series of church councils, like these ones, acted as the gatekeepers of history. They made huge decisions about which books made the cut and which ones were left on the cutting room floor. And to justify cutting entire books, they needed a system. They created categories, like the Apocrypha. They'd label a book hidden or of doubtful authority. But let's be real, this wasn't just some library filing system. It was a tool for institutional control. It allowed them to streamline the official story, to create a neat, tidy narrative that served their theological and organizational goals. History was being edited. And you can see the results right here, clear as day. The Western tradition ended up with a streamlined canon of 66 books, but the Ethiopian tradition held on to an older, more complete record of 81 books. The story of Avon and Azora wasn't lost, it was just edited out of one version of the story. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that the smallest choices we make with language, Whether it's in an email or in a foundational text for billions of people, those choices have the power to literally shape our world.
Let's just trace our journey one last time. It all started with a simple, tiny grammatical choice, each versus every. That choice, we learned, reflects a much deeper way of thinking, individual versus collective. Then we saw how that conceptual frame led to two different historical records, one with named daughters, one without. And now, for the final piece, a wild echo from modern science.
This is absolutely fascinating. Science now tells us through genetics that every single human alive can trace their lineage back to one common female ancestor, a mitochondrial Eve, who lived in Africa. Science is literally validating the importance of a single foundational maternal line, a line that was given specific individual names in one ancient record and simply lumped into a group in another.
And this quote just brings it all home. Saying every human came from Africa is a true statement, but it's a group fact. Saying each human can trace their DNA back to one individual mother in Africa, well, that's personal. That's a profound distributive truth that connects every single one of us to the same story. The wording changes absolutely everything.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. This choice, the collective versus the individual, isn't just nerdy grammar. It's about what stories get told, what details are preserved, and whose names are remembered. It's a powerful reminder that behind every, there's always an each. Thanks for diving in with me.